I'm Allia. I'm the Youth Action Delivery Officer or Keeping It Wild. So I support 19 different youth clubs across London to do environmental social action projects on the Keeping It Wild project. It's important for young people to use their voice to stand up for their local wildlife because we know that young people are passionate about the environment and you guys have the best ideas of how to improve your communities. In your communities, young people want to feel safe and proud of the spaces that they spend time in and socialise with like family and friends. But especially this past year, when for so many of us having access to daily walks and green spaces has helped us with our well-being. It's been so important for young people to have that power to change society for the better and to use their voices to combat environmental challenges. Young people aren't just the leaders of tomorrow. You have the energy, skills and ideas to improve society, our environment and protect London's wildlife. Now more than ever, we need your voices to stand up for issues in your community, whether it's climate change and increasing pollinators or protecting London's wildlife. There's so many different ways for young people to make a difference. Sometimes it can feel like it's such a big thing, right? Tackling, I don't know, climate change, environmental change, but actually you can make really small but impactful and big ripples in your local communities. I think there have been so many different examples on Keeping It Wild, but I think a main one is focusing on health and well-being. So engaging with the natural world can have a significant mental and physical health benefits. It's reduction in stress, anxiety and depression. And we saw that during this past lockdown. Alex said, the youth club, they wrote poetry and showed pictures of their daily walks and they focused on what it meant to be out in nature, especially during this past year, and in a way to uplift one another and make connections and appreciate wildlife. And that improved their well-being and isolation. And they created a beautiful video and documentary, which they shared with their schools, with their families, and also with the Keeping It Wild team. So that helped to make a real big difference in how we talk about well-being and nature and the environment. Peabody Thames Mead, they set up an eco council. So why don't you set up an eco council in your school or in your youth club or your community centre to gather a group of people who are interested in educating and teaching people what they can do to protect their green spaces. This creates long-term change, awareness and understanding, and it's a great way to meet other people who care about environmental issues, wildlife, and also creates opportunities to lead change. Or Phoenix Rising and Peabody Thames Mead, they also ran local litter picking on their canal or in their estate, and that created and they also created like an art piece to share with their networks to show the importance of like protecting their local environment and actually what impact we have in our local environment as well. Or you could get more creative and do actual physical conservation. Field young carers during lockdown built bug hotels to encourage insect pollination and also to learn a bit more about the importance of biodiversity in their local areas. While Shapressa, they actually ran an intergenerational project during lockdown. They planted pollinator-friendly flowers with older people in their community, and it was a great way of teaching other people about the importance of, again, biodiversity and pollinators, but in a really fun and physical way. Similarly, Surrey Docks Farm, they ran an actual online pollinating campaign to encourage young people and people across their community to get pollinating and enter the competition. You could also do things like holding listening events where you can share with people in your local community or school about the issues facing London's wildlife. You could also, the most important thing is that it's meant to be fun, and those are so, for example, Big Kid Foundation, they are creating mini bee scavenger hunts, explorer packs to share with their youth club, other young people in their communities and their friends to encourage people to just get outside and to explore. And this would improve their well-being of their local community and also an understanding of what great green spaces there are on their doorstep in Lambeth. There are so many ways of getting involved. It could be writing and lobbying to local politicians, getting involved in your school and setting up an eco council, speaking to leaders in the community to create change, or even volunteering and working in a local community garden, creating artwork to raise awareness, or running digital campaigns. You could volunteer at your local wildlife trust sites or create your own things like wildflower seed balls or bee hotels or bug hotels to increase biodiversity and add a little beauty to London's gardens and balconies, or consider a career working outdoors, or have conversations with your friends and families to help spread awareness on what we could do to look after the environment, protect the environment. what advice I would give to someone who wants to help but doesn't know where to start in terms of where to begin is that I feel you. Sometimes it can feel like such a big project, but there are lots and lots of young people that care about climate change and care about looking after their local environment. So I'm betting that there's a group of young people who would love to get involved. You just need to find them. So that might mean asking a teacher or looking at a school to see if there's already like an eco council or a group that's already set up to look after the environment or your local wildlife, or going to a local youth club or youth council to see if there are already forums or groups of young people who are already doing social action projects, which most youth clubs there are. And that's a way to find those similar interests to you and also have the passions to make change. Um, Also think about issues facing your local area. So sometimes it can feel like the bigger tasks are impossible to face, such as global warming. But if you start small, such as, is there too much fly tipping in your area? Is there a local park that isn't enough? There's not enough lighting, or has a problem with litter, or is there a local animal or species that is in danger? Do you have any wild spaces in your local area? If there are, I'm betting that there are user groups, park groups that are involved in looking after those spaces, and that would be a good way to like get in and speak to people who also have similar passions to you. Um, and focusing on a local issue might actually help people to be interested in your campaign. Having a specific angle brings people in, and then from having those initial conversations, such as that the marsh harrier is going extinct in your local area, can have a bigger conversation of actually what can we do to protect London's wildlife and make real environmental change.